I like to not take good days for granted. Days like this where we boarded a school bus to take us to the Floral City Strawberry Festival this year. For my cousins, this was their first school bus ride in the U.S. And I loved when they told me that the conditions on the buses in the U.S. are nothing like those in Cuba. For them, this was an attraction all on its own. But then we got to the festival, and although it was very interesting, we didn't see many strawberries there this year. Alright guys, I'm a mess today. Don't look at me. Last night we had the worst thunderstorm I think I've ever seen in my life. We went to the St. Patrick's Day parade here in town. Then it started to thunder, so we ran into our car. We got home just as it was raining, and then we stayed home, and it was the afternoon. Got worse and worse and worse, and look what we're doing. Setting up to collect water. I thought that the thunder had hit my Damara solar panel because I was watching TV in my room after coming back from the St. Patrick's Day parade. It was like crash. The window, the light was intense. I never seen anything like that. It was like a second that felt like you could actually detail everything that was happening. It was so intense. And so I thought the thunder had hit the Damara solar panel. But Christian says he saw the light over at the end. So then we thought maybe it hit the truck camper solar panel. And the power and the strength, I mean, it just rocked everybody. And the electricity went out and then it came back on. My cousin's TV didn't work, so we had to play around with the breakers. Then it wasn't until like an hour later and the water wasn't working. So our well is out. We went to the well and the well was on. But I think something happened to the electric box. Hopefully it's that and not my pump. So we shut it off completely because it was evening and it was pouring rain by the time we found out. But today he was going to fix it or look and measure the voltage and stuff. We had some extreme voltage here in the property yesterday. So when he was going to come from work today, he was going to check all that. But now they're saying it's going to be like 4 p.m. It's going to be the same as yesterday. So we are busy pulling out all of the stuff so that we can collect water because we may be like this for a couple of days. And I do have the barrels. Luckily, I have the barrels. So Christian is over there. These containers, as you can see, they're pretty dirty. I just learned my lesson that these containers are necessary to keep them in the shed because of situations like this. They shouldn't be dirty and they should not be getting sun. Some of them are cracked and we can't use them. We have some water that we collect over here for cleaning. So he's actually cleaning those buckets out. They were full of dirt and mud. But we don't use this water for anything other than like cleaning, flushing a toilet. Like this morning I forgot and I went and used the toilet, so now I have to throw some water in the toilet. First rinse from the roof, we do not collect that, so that's what the bucket will be there, but we'll throw that water out, or we'll have a bucket for dirty stuff. We need to roof to get clean first. My Damara is empty. My truck camper has no water. The Airstream has like no water. The fifth wheel has no water because we're just coming out of the cold weather. So all of the RVs have no water because we didn't want the water to freeze in our tank. Tomorrow morning, coincident, is going to get down to 45. And this is the reason we don't have water in RVs, because we might have a sudden freeze or something like that. We just found out about that last night. So this is why we're collecting water. It's going to be cold tomorrow, but we have no water. I mean, the situation was worse. We are going to be longer. I can bring the Damara, drive it to some place and get some water, get the tank filled up, so at least we have some water. But for right now, that is the situation that we are under. I could do the same thing with the truck camper. And we do have electricity, so we could boil the water before we use it for drinking. So we do have power in the house. So basically, I brought out this container, and then I'm washing dishes with the sprayer, the same I do on the Damara.
What you are seeing is the company that finally resolved my water well repair problem. We were without water for a week. We were able to handle that because we are prepared on this property, knowing that problems with wells exist, and we have to have backup water storage. As a solo female landowner, I learned early on about handling emergencies alone from my past journey after my 19-year-old water well pump gave out during COVID. And that's why I keep two 45-gallon barrels that harvest rainfall. This is why I was able to shop around for the best well repair service price. Many of these service people take advantage at the desperation that comes when homesteaders don't have water on their property, and they will bill you for things that are not broken, and that's what the previous company did. So never find yourself in a desperate situation so that you don't get ripped off too. By having a backup water system and making sure that you get more than one repair quote. This is how I avoided getting ripped off. So stay tuned. I'm going to give you some tips from lessons learned when it comes to well repairs.
So all lessons learned that I learned from this particular situation. And I just want to share it with you because I think it might help somebody, or at least if you know somebody who's having issues like this, you can kind of send them over this video or let them know about this, because I didn't film an ending to the video, so you're really not going to know. It was such a whirlwind that week with everything that was going on with the well. Trust me, there is desperation when you don't have water and you have 4 people living. When I was by myself and this happened, it wasn't too bad because I was by myself and I don't consume as much water as other people do, but they are at work, so they are able to use toilets and stuff at work, and then when they come home, I mean, it makes it hard for them during the week to shower and stuff like that. I'm gonna fill you in with what happened. So what happened was, pump was working, it was fine. It did service the well for me, which is the rods that are one inside of the other, the galvanized rod, because this is a submersible pump. What happens is over time at the joints, it starts to get rusted. So he took those apart for me, all of them, and he cleaned up the rust, he lubricated them, and they were good to go. He also suggested, because we've had a serious drought this year in Florida, and it may get worse over time, again, just to be on the safe side, because we do have 4 people living on the property. So he suggested that we go maybe 20 more feet further down on the well. So I did pay him for the additional 20 feet of galvanized wire, and he set the pump a little bit lower so it can get more water, because we have been in a severe drought this year, which is very unusual. He was already out. It's just something that I don't have to call somebody to do again. I think it was a good deal to do that. He included all that for the price. Finally, the next thing that we discovered was the well pump was working fine, but there was no water getting to the house. So obviously what he recommended that we search for a broken pipe on the property. He did suggest to us that perhaps something happened on the ground, and when there's trees and stuff, and evidently on his way to the faucet in the back, that into the hose faucet, saw the ground was wet because we had been dry for several days, and he saw that the ground was wet. He called me over and he said, "Is this normal?" He said, "I think there might be a leak here. If this is not supposed to be. It's right in front of the chicken coop." And that's why he asked me, because he thought maybe I had spread water or something for the chicken coop. I said, "No, this is always a really big patch of water there." He said, "I can't fix the pipe for you because that's for a plumber to do." But he did open the hole, and evidently this is what he saw and what we all saw. The old well was tapped into the newer well. So what I'm planning on doing now is getting from the county the records of the well and the piping and all of that, because that doesn't come on your survey, and when they come out they only check for electrical. So if you want to get that, it's all the newer properties are online, but my property was built in 96, so those files have to be somewhere else, and I have to request them with the district water or whatever. So that is something that I'm going to do, because we need to know where exactly all the piping is around here with this well situation that we have, because this stuff is just crossed all across and we don't know if it's in the garden or whatever. So if we ever do have another situation like this, the water well works and water is not getting into the house, that means usually that there is something broken underground. And the problem is, if it's under the garden, if there's pipes that are running under the garden, which I think there is because that pipe came from under the garden, then we will probably not see it because we have it so heavily mulched in there. That's something that we have to know, where to be able to look for a broken pipe. From your county, you should have and request when you move into your property, or at some point in your homestead adventures and journey on your property, you should request, the county has records of where all the piping was put in for plumbing and piping for your well. You want to know where all of that stuff is. Another problem that I had is when I was calling for estimates of well repair people, I would have to ask them, I'm like, do you charge for a service charge? Now, this is the trick. There were several companies that do this. I don't know who in their right mind would allow these kind of people on their property. They said to me, we charge you $199 to come out just to look at the property and see what's wrong with the well. Okay? But guess what? They will discount it off of the cost of the repairs. That's great if I knew the repairs were a decent price and they weren't overpriced. This is the exact situation on how they gouge you, because once you're there, you're going to spend $200 for them to tell you what it is, and then they're going to bill you $5,000 like they did to me. The guys that came here, they actually told me that my well was broken. There was no fixing. There was no repair on that. That I had to change everything there. That I had to change my bladder system. I have a big 65-gallon bladder in the garage. That I had to change all of that out. And that was going to cost me $5,000, electrical, and all of this new stuff that I had to get. They were pressuring me to sign a contract like right then and there. And I was like, nope, I have to think about this. I have to think, this is not something that I could do right now with the way the economy is. And they said, well, I'll have to charge you a service fee. I said, well, nobody told me that I had to pay a service fee for you guys to come out. So I called the manager, and of course they couldn't charge me the service because they never told me about the service fee. But then other places that I called for secondary opinions, they did the same thing. It was the same type of trick. Those companies, I didn't even bother with having them come out to the house. The guy that I did eventually call, he told me over the phone, he goes, if it's just the well pump. And that's what we said. My cousin and I said, you know, the bladder works fine, and there's no way that there's going to be pressure in the bladder for them to check if it's broken if there's no water. So that's definitely not broken because everything was working fine the night of. So he said, if it's the pump, he goes, I'll do the service for you, and a brand new submersible pump with a control box. We'll talk about that in a second. And it's $2,800. So I told him yes, because obviously I had called another guy and he told me the same price. So what I did good was, the first guys, I had an idea what it was. They're just trying to rip me off. But the second people that I called, I told them, it's just the well. Just give me the price. They're like, no, we have to come out. No, don't come out. I don't need you to come out. I can't pay 5 different people to come out. I just need a price. If you're interested in the work, just give me the price over the phone. Yes, I understand if you come here, there might be additional things that you have to do. It's not, you know, it's not a solid estimate. It's approximate, but give me some idea. So he goes, if it's just a submersible pump, I'll put in a 3-wire pump for you with a control box. And that's going to be $2,800 installation, everything. So now I'm going to tell you the situation, what happened to me. This is how you get ripped off. Another way you get ripped off. So a few years ago during COVID, I had my well pump was 19 years old. And at that time, the pump went out. It was 19 years old already. It lasted a good long time. So I had to have it changed. The guy that I paid to have it changed, he put another pump in for me, another submersible pump that was 1.5 horsepower. The one I had before was 1 horsepower. And he said to me that I needed a 1.5 to get better pressure because I was so far away from the house. And I was okay with that. The problem is there were so many problems that came after that, because now this pump required more electricity because it was 1.5. So I had to pay electricians, because my cousins were not living here at the time. I had to pay electricians to come and do that work as well. So I spent $1,700 on rewiring all of this and making it sure that it goes direct to the box at the house, right? The problem is, before all this happened, 3 years earlier, this same guy, and this is how I met him, the old pump that was there had a system where there was a control box. And at one point I had called him to fix the control box. There was a problem, electrical problem with the control box, and he came out and he fixed the control box, set it all up for me, everything. I had protection, I have breakers, I have everything there. When he put the pump in 3 years later, he didn't tell me that this submersible pump was not going to have any protection. In other words, the control box was there for nothing, and he sealed it up, and I didn't think nothing of it. When my cousin opened up the box the next day after this happened, we realized that there was nothing in there. So this guy, not only did he charge me for the pump, he stole all of the things that I had paid him for. That electrical control box had all new stuff in there. And all of the material in there, it was just the wires that was left in there. He stole all of that from me. He took all of that from me. So this was a learning curve that I learned, that you have to tell them to leave all the parts at your house, because if not, they take it from you. He also took the old pump. And so this time around, my cousin has said to me, he said, if they're going to replace the pump, make sure that you tell them to leave the pump. So what I did was, because I was making a claim with my insurance company, thinking, oh my gosh, this is going to be like $2,800 to $5,000. I better make a claim with the insurance company. But it turns out I had to cancel it because my deductible was $2,500. So it wasn't really worth it for me. But that was the excuse that I used. And I'm just suggesting to you that that's the excuse that when anybody comes into your house, and you can say, leave all the parts as is, leave them there, because I need them for my adjuster. That way they will not take the parts. And they will most likely not lie to you, because they know that the adjusters are going to check if they're going to think the adjusters are going to check if those parts work. And then you could sue them because they lied to you, because if the adjuster says, no, this pump works fine, it doesn't have a problem, you could sue them for that. So that was something else that I learned. So always tell them, leave. You're going to take out an old pump, leave me the pump. A lot of people buy this stuff online. My cousin says that he can fix them because all he has to do is change the capacitor. Most of the likely is the capacitor. And he would have been able to change it. The problem is we don't have the machinery, like you saw in this video, to take all of that galvanized wire up and get the pump back up. You needed special machines for that. So this time around, we are putting protection. My cousin's actually going to do it because he knows how to do it. We're actually getting a surge protector for that control box to control the pump in case we ever have this problem. Because right now, the water well has no protection at all. And this is why the last guy, he took all of my protection. He knew he was leaving me without protection, and he didn't tell me, and I don't know anything about this, and it didn't even occur to me to even ask about these things. So just so you know, ladies, if you're on your own, these are just some suggestions for you to protect yourself from these guys. Because what they do is take these pumps and they go and they sell it on the secondary market. And some guys know how to fix this stuff. They just get the capacitor, and they'll go and they'll fix it or sell it to somebody else. Even though it's a 19-year-old pump, but they're still going to hold on to that. That submersible pump is a 2-wire pump. And that's why it doesn't have a control box protection. And the one that I had previously for 19 years, that one had a 3-wire, and that was wired into the control box. And all the control box stuff was new. And the guy took it when he charged me for the pump. He also took all of the stuff that I paid him for previously that was in the control box. So we could have used that stuff now in a different way. So buyer beware. So I ended up paying a little over $700, closer to $800 for all of the maintenance, for going down deep into the well, for excavating the pipe for me. Also put a valve so that we can put a hose to the well. So if there's ever a problem, if the well works, we could fill buckets from the well, even though it's not coming into the house. He also showed me with regular hoses how we can connect the well to the house. So there is an entryway in the house. There's a valve near the laundry on the outside where he showed me that not only can we just go over there and get buckets, we can also go and get water into the house. Of course, if there's a pipe that's broken, you know, it's not really going to work, but it's another option that we have. Ended up having to fix the pipe. And another thing that we learned, all of us learned this because of course they're from Cuba, so they don't really know about this stuff, and I don't know about this stuff either. And the guy didn't tell me, even though the guy that was here, he was very nice. He even drew out a diagram for me on how we can fix the pipe with some elbows, 90-degree elbows. When my cousin came home, we went to the store and we bought all of the parts for the well, and we fixed it. We bought, like, there's like the glue and all of this stuff. So we waited that night. We're like, let's wait till it dries and we'll try it on the next day. So the next day was Saturday. And we were so excited in the morning. We were like, oh, we're going to take a shower tonight. We're going to get to, you know, get all this. And so once we turned it on, that was it. It was done. So we were like, oh my gosh, what are we going to do? We have to go out. So we had to go out and look for like parts or something like that. Finally went to Home Depot, and luckily there was a plumber that was working there. He actually works at the store. He's a retired plumber, but he's working, you know, there. And he told us, he said, you can't use drain pipe elbows. You have to use elbows that are specifically made for pressure related piping. And we did not know that. And we thought, this could be this simple. Could it be this simple that we just bought the wrong elbows? So it ended up that we bought these specific elbows for the project. So when we got back, my cousin had to cut everything again, take out the old elbows. There were the other elbows that we purchased were for regular drain pipes for in the house. So this one is a little bit different because it's a little longer, it's a little thicker, a little firmer. So he glued all of that, you know, sorry about that with the table. So he glued all of that with the plumber's, you know, that 2-part glue that they use. And that day we decided, you know what, it was like probably 3 o'clock in the afternoon by then, or 4. And we said, you know what, let's not test this, even though it says you can use it after like 30 minutes. But we decided to let it cure overnight just to be on the safe side, because we were like, we're just desperate. We're desperate. So the next day, everybody woke up in the morning, and probably around 9 o'clock, we went ahead and turned the water on, and no leaks and nothing happened. And we were so excited. Everybody ran in the bathroom, took a shower. We started filling up all of the RVs, got filled up like immediately, because I'm like, fill the RVs, because if this thing breaks or explodes, at least we have water in the RVs. So that was the first thing that we did. We just watered all of the RVs, and then we all took showers, and then we started filling up all our jugs that were running out of water. And nothing happened, and we left the hole open for 7 days, and a little over 7 days, and it didn't leak. I did take out the old bladder system for when they did the construction, and it's an old rusted bladder that was here on the property, and it was no use. I mean, there was no reason to even have that. He took out that whole old bladder system, which actually we have here. We're gonna use it as a water tank for emergency purposes also. This was a great learning experience, and we also learned that 1 week with the amount of water that we have is not enough. It's not enough, especially if our RVs are empty. And we also learned the importance of having our RVs full with water. The day that the lightning hit, that rainy night, the next day it rained. That's why we put out the spouts, because we also collected a lot of water the next day as well. It's good to have the water harvest, because if you don't have the water harvest, you are going to fall to the prey of anybody that comes, because you're so desperate, and your husband's desperate, your kids are desperate, everybody wants showers, you got to clean up. I suggest that if you're on a homestead, you have some kind of emergency water, whether it's 1 barrel or 2, or one of those water totes that they have, those big plastic ones. Get yourself something if you have a family, and always have emergency water on hand, or some kind of system that, you know, you have downspouts. Those are going to collect water automatically for you. So thank you so much for watching this video. I hope that helped you, and I hope that if you're a woman that is going through this homesteading, some of the stuff will help you a little bit to deal with some of these guys that come to the house and they try to rip you off because you're a woman, and they just think that you're just going to, you know, make the decisions that they want you to make, which is not what you want to make, because you want to live free and without debt. So that is my lesson for this week. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.